What is going on, everybody? It is the France, and we are here doing something I've been wanting to do for a while. Some news, rumors, and predictions of the week for WWE, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and outside of WWE. This is going to hopefully be like a weekly thing that I just come out with some news that's going on, news and rumors, predictions on things I want to see in the future, or when we get the pay-per-views, when we do a pay-per-view predictions at like the Royal Rumble this month, my predictions on those, what we could see later on in the year, as well as other things that I see in the news and rumors and everything else. Man, what a week it was. We got a new week, we got a new year, and WWE is the same part for the course. Nothing new from then, but then you have Japan with Wrestle Kingdom 12, which was a great show that I saw. I heard the rest of it was a pretty good show. Some people called like the first half of the show a good WWE pay-per-view and the other half otherworldly. But from what I saw, the three matches I saw, and the highlights of the other matches I saw, I would say Wrestle Kingdom 12 is probably going to be pay-per-view of the year, whereas WWE will have WrestleMania disappoint as it has the last 3 or 4 years. Only a few things on the last few WrestleManias have been good, like Daniel Bryan winning the title at 30, had the Hardy Boys coming back last year, and pretty much nothing else other than maybe AJ Styles wrestling his first WrestleMania and him having the match of the night last year. So let's get into the news for the week that I've been in. And the first bit of news is last weekend, the son of a legend in WWE, Flying Brian Pillman's son, made his wrestling debut last weekend in Indianapolis. Pillman defeated Jonathan Wolfe, who took to Twitter after the match stating that Pillman is the real deal. Pillman Jr. was only 3 years old when his father passed away on October 5th, 1997 due to a heart attack caused by a previously undetected heart condition called it's a heart disease. Pretty much, I can't even pronounce the name, but it's heart disease, which also led to Pillman Sr.'s father's passing away years before. Which, if I'm Pillman Jr., I would make sure I keep my heart regularly checked out by doctors because that is hereditary, as it is I just stated. So, for him to have a long, fruitless career, I would definitely keep that under check for until you decide to hang up your boots. Pillman Jr. reached out to Lance Storm earlier this year about joining the business. Of course, this would be last year. In an interview with WrestleList this past summer, Pillman Jr. talked about wanting to join WWE. Pillman Jr. said, "I will tell you right now that I think the company will benefit WWE, of course. The most from me becoming a wrestler would be the Federation WWE, just because they have the trademarks, they have the name, and they have the merchandising." My father, Pillman Jr., said, "So I think it would be wise for me to go there. Obviously, at the end of the day, we want to make a good living for ourselves, and we can want to make it as big as we can. I think it might be smart for me to perform on the indies for a while to get the experience." That's a good thing to say right there, because the way he sounded in that first part was, I want to go to WWE, cash in on my father's name, and just make a living for myself. Going to the indies is the smart idea for him. Make a name for yourself, because probably even if he came to WWE, they probably wouldn't even use Brian Pillman Jr. They'd have him be Brian whatever. Like Brian something, like Brian Steele or Brian John or some name that, like, because Curtis Axel, Bo Dallas, Bray Wyatt are all second and third generation superstars, and they don't even use they don't like mooch off their family's name. Before me needs to I'd still make a living for myself. I will say that making it to the big leagues, making it to the WWE would dream come true. It would be the ultimate goal to follow in my father's footsteps. One guy I look to compare what my possibilities would be is Cody Rhodes, which is nice to compare to Cody Rhodes, but not everybody's going to have the success that Cody Rhodes has. Yes, he is Cody. He's not even using the Rhodes names because he can't, but he's very successful what he does, and it's not because he's Dusty's son. He's his own man. He's earned the respect that he has for the wrestling business. So you have to cut your teeth and actually do this. Brian Pillman, in my opinion, Brian Pillman Jr., in my opinion, is looking at this through rose-colored glasses. He's not seeing how hard this is going to be for him to do if he wants to do this right. He's just like, oh, I'm Brian Pillman's son, so I should be able to do this and this. I don't feel like that with Cody. Cody's actually done his due diligence to be a respectable figure in wrestling. Yes, he's a Rhodes, but he's also his own man. Brian continues to, Pillman Jr. continues to say, obviously he had the father and the whole legacy going for him, and he went to the WWE, and it wasn't a good fit for him. That's because Vince McMahon put him in a crappy gimmick known as Stardust, which was stupid as can be. He didn't want to go with the plans, and he had bigger plans for himself. Just seeing him thrive and doing so well on the independent scene has given me options. That, yes, like I said before, Cody Rhodes is a special case. Not everybody's going to have the success, even with the name, their own name, is not going to have the success that Cody Rhodes had. He had a full-out plan. Most guys leave like, I don't even need you, WWE. I can do this on my own. They go on their own, and then they just fall flat, and you never hear from them again. Cody Rhodes, Juice Robinson, also known as CJ Parker, are a couple of those guys out there who sit there and actually are able to make a name for themselves outside of WWE. He's got to actually think this stuff through before he gets all high and mighty, thinking that he pretty much sounded like he wanted to just mooch off his dad's name. He would probably want to go to WWE, but going on the indie scene, you have to make a name for yourself. Even his father would tell him, I'm pretty sure, I'm not going to speak for the man himself, but I'm pretty sure his father would tell him to go make a name for yourself. Make people know that I'm not just Brian Pillman's son, but I'm equal, if not better, than my father. If you try to just go into the indie scene or any wrestling promotion and you try to be like, yeah, that was my dad, so I'm here, I should be afforded this, or I should be done this, it's just gonna be a detriment to your career. So Brian Pillman Jr. has got a long road ahead of him. He made his debut this last weekend, but he better not get full of himself, due to that could be a detriment to his career, because that can lead to a massive ego. Yes, when you get further along in your career, say you're 5-10 years in your career, you deserve to have a little bit of an ego. That was last weekend was his first time in wrestling, so he's got to work on it. Right now, he seems to have a little bit more of an ego than he should. Just because you're Brian Pillman's son does not mean you should be all high and mighty on yourself. Give it time and just start from the beginning like everybody else. News on Vince McMahon's opinion on today's talents. Kevin Nash was on JR's podcast a couple weeks ago, and he was talking to JR. This excerpt I have here is from that exact podcast when it was brought up about Vince McMahon's opinion on today's superstars. Kevin Nash had to say, I remember one time I was talking to Vince. It wasn't the last WrestleMania 33. I think it was the one before. And I just asked him how things are, said Nash. And he goes, the things that changed more than anything is back when you broke in here, that's Kevin Nash in the Fed, it was a Shark Tank. Like, everybody went after the top prize, and it was a battle. Now, wrestlers wait for him to come around with a sword and anoint them. That isn't just the same anymore. Well, Vince, if that's how you feel, whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? You sacrificed for the last 4 years. You had one guy appointed that you want to be the guy. You have sacrificed Samoa Joe this past year. Braun Strowman, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, Elias, Jason Jordan, and everybody else for one guy, Roman Reigns. Everybody sees it. Nobody's stupid, Vince. The guys in the back know that they can't say anything or do anything, because if they do, they'll be down in the mid card having a 400 and something losing streak like Kurt Hawkins has. Not saying Kurt Hawkins is in trouble, it's just he's a jobber. But they can't be. They have to be sitting around waiting for you to anoint them, because you're on this tunnel vision of just Roman. You do everything with Roman. You don't care about anything else. As long as Roman is over, you don't care. So how is that going to make the guys on Monday Night Raw right now feel? Because SmackDown's a whole totally different thing. But how do you think they're going to feel? Well, he's working on Roman Reigns, but if I have an idea that I think is going to get over, I'm not going to be able to talk to him because he's working on Roman Reigns. So Vince McMahon has got these guys all these guys conditioned to wait their turn. Back in the day, it was, you take food off my plate, I'm going to take food off your plate, and you're going to have to fight me to keep your position. Nowadays, it's just, stay in your little bubble, and we'll come get you when we want you to be the top guy. And when somebody gets over, like Rusev Day is right now, we'll kill it because we don't want it to be over because it's not what we want. That's what happened with Zack Ryder. That's what happened with Bad News Barrett. It was happening with Daniel Bryan, but the fans were just overwhelmingly like, no, we want this guy over. So WWE was changed course for a minute, even though Roman Reigns wasn't where he's at today. He was still part of the Shield, so they could actually give it a minute. Vince McMahon has conditioned the guys and the gals to just sit there and wait their turn. It's not their fault because he's conditioned them to be that way. You come up from NXT, even if you were a top draw in NXT, you come up, you sit where we want you to sit, and we'll come get you when we're ready. Until then, it's Roman Reigns, and that's it. As soon as Roman Reigns is over, maybe we'll start working on other people. That is bad business right there. You can't just do one guy. That made it work in the 80s, even though it really wasn't just one guy. Yes, Hogan was the headliner, but you had Randy Savage. You had Ultimate Warrior towards the middle, like towards the 90s. You had Roddy Piper. You had all these other guys like Ricky Steamboat. You had the $1 Million Man who got over as a bad guy. You didn't just go, well, we want this guy and everyone else doesn't matter. You didn't do it against Austin and The Rock and Triple H because you couldn't. It was either you had 4, 5, 6 guys up at once, or your product was going to suffer. Of course, back then, and another reason why it's not a Shark Tank anymore is because there's no sense of urgency for anyone to fight. You don't have competition. There is no WCW. There is no territories. There is no nothing that's going to beat you. TNA is garbage. Maybe in a year or two, if New Japan gets a TV deal on, like, Spike TV or somewhere else on the USA Network or on somewhere else that isn't WWE, like in actually a competition, because after what we saw this past week, if they could actually get that on main TV besides Access doesn't have as many TV homes as if like Spike TV or USA, which I know has Raw right now, or Fox or somewhere else. WWE doesn't have any competition, so they don't have to worry. A lot of those guys, and another reason that they had a Shark Tank back then. Guys nowadays have guaranteed contracts. Every single one of them. You have a guaranteed contract, no matter what, if you were on TV or you were off TV for 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, and you just come back. If you were signed to WWE, no matter what you do nowadays, you get paid X amount of money, and there's nothing else they can do about it. Back when Kevin Nash broke in until he left, because Kevin Nash, of course, is always credited for being the guy who got the guaranteed contracts going. They didn't have guaranteed contracts. You had to fight for your spot, and when you fought for your spot, if you were the WWE champion or in that feud, you made the more money. Nowadays, yes, they're like the higher up on the card, you do still make more money, but the guys on the lower card aren't that bad when it comes to money. So why would they need to fight? Why would they I'm making, I don't know, like $5 million this year. That's more than I was making last year, so why would I even care if I go up top? Yeah, there's guys up top like Brock Lesnar who works 12 matches, makes $70 million a year. So it's like they have no reason to fight. Vince McMahon put that in their head. Stick where you're going to be, we'll come get you. It's a bad business move, and that's why we see nothing but soulless acts on WWE TV after people come up from NXT. You want to watch good wrestling? Watch NXT. Those guys and gals down there look like they actually care. 100%. Until Vince McMahon goes and we actually have some kind of mentality of, if I don't wrestle, I'm going to lose my spot, I'm not going to make as much as I did last time, or something like that, then we're going to have what we have, and there's nothing we can do about it. Vince McMahon conditioned them this way. It's Roman Reigns and only Roman Reigns and nothing else. So the guys and gals are just going to sit there and just wait around. Wait for that imaginary sword to anoint them that they're the next person. Which is not going to happen if your name isn't Roman Reigns until Vince McMahon is gone. Moving on here, the Singh brothers on Jinder Mahal being pulled from Survivor Series. This is coming from Akhilesh Ganavarapu of Wrestling Inc. Jinder Mahal being pulled from the scheduled Survivor Series match with Brock Lesnar. Samir says, as you remember back in November of last year, Jinder Mahal was on a 6-month reign of terror of being the WWE Champion, sacrificing everybody's good time on SmackDown, killing Shinsuke Nakamura's momentum, all for this failure, also known as the modern day failure Raja. This guy was a failure, and when they announced the champion versus champion SmackDown versus Raw matches, Jinder Mahal versus Brock Lesnar, nobody was interested at all of this guy. At the midnight hour, WWE got a sense of smarts in their head, and on the UK edition of SmackDown, which was midway through November, AJ Styles was the savior of Christmas, the savior of the world, and he took the title off of Jinder Mahal, saving us from a boring match at Survivor Series and giving us a pretty darn good match, and a Brock Lesnar match that nobody thought we would ever see again. The Singh brothers were asked recently about Jinder Mahal being pulled from that match, and Samir had to say that's what happens in wrestling. It's creative, it's the entertainment industry, it's supposed to go somewhere, and it goes somewhere else. But to be honest, that Brock Lesnar versus AJ Styles match, that was amazing. Yeah, that should have been the match, and it happened. That's just one of those things. It's sports entertainment. You just creatively, you go one way, and you have to go another. That's just the nature of the industry. And in other words, we wanted to see, we knew Jinder Mahal was a failure, and we would have, the match we got was the best match that they could have did, and it shows that when Brock Lesnar wants to actually work with somebody, you get a close to 5 stars you're going to get with Brock Lesnar in this day and age. Will we see a rematch between AJ Styles and Brock Lesnar? I would hope so. Probably going to see AJ Styles lose the WWE Championship at WrestleMania if he gets there. If he gets there as a champion, and he'll be brought over to Monday Night Raw, which they wanted to do this past year, but they didn't do it for whatever reason. They brought us Bray Wyatt to Raw and not AJ Styles because they took the title off of Bray Wyatt to give the title to Jinder Mahal. It is what it is. Jinder Mahal is now, as you all know, vying for the United States Championship. He will be taking on Xavier Woods in probably, I believe, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whichever one it is, in the U.S. title tournament to see who goes on to win the U.S. title at the Royal Rumble, which I'm pretty certain he is going to win it. No other reason for anyone else to. And that was that. News on Enzo Amore. As noted, Cruiserweight Champion Enzo Amore missed last Monday's Monday Night Raw, and the title match with Cedric Alexander as he was hospitalized with illness. Possibly the same flu that kept Braun Strowman off part of the annual Holiday Live event tour. Amore posted an Instagram video where he checked himself out of the emergency room on Monday and went to the arena for Raw. P.S. PW Insider noted that he arrived about an hour before the show kicked off and pushed that he should be allowed to compete, but officials would not let him perform sick. He was then told to leave the arena and return to his hotel to rest up. No word yet on when his title match will take place or if Enzo will be part of 205 Live, which he was not, but they will keep you updated. We then found out Enzo Amore on January 2nd was pulled from the Mixed Match Challenge. Angle tweeted out, the real one has the flu, and thus they must replace him on Mixed Match Challenge. I don't know why, because Mixed Match Challenge isn't for another few weeks. So I'm curious to know why they took Enzo out. I guess he has been cleared over the last few days to come back to work. So maybe we'll see that Cruiserweight Championship on Monday. So we don't know why, but he got pulled from it anyway. How Enzo got sick was he reportedly got sick while in Toronto over the weekend with WWE for the annual Holiday Tour. He had been wrestling Kalisto the whole week, but did not wrestle in Toronto. The Wrestling Observer newsletter reported that Enzo got sick while in Toronto, but he did not want to go to the hospital there. He then flew to Miami for Raw on New Year's Eve and ended up going to the hospital on New Year's Day. He checked himself out of the hospital, as I said before, on Monday, and went to the arena. They did not want him there because he was sick, and they did not want it to catch others. Remember, WWE's Raw brand got a case of the measles. No, not measles. Was it measles? Meningitis in October of last year. So we didn't want to see. They didn't want to have another case of the illness, some kind of flu or some kind of hitting their main roster stars like a Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins or anyone else, and just screwing up plans from here until whatever. There was concern backstage after Braun Strowman, who got ill last week too, had left the tour early in the week due to flu, but was back on Raw. The observers that Braun was said to be violently ill. As Raj noted before, there were other wrestlers that were sick backstage on Monday, and several were given an IV. It was not confirmed that they had the flu or another illness, but many skipped going out on New Year's Eve the night before because they were sick. No word on when Enzo will be back in the ring, but it could be this weekend as he was medically cleared. No word yet on why he was pulled for the Mixed Match Challenge, which doesn't begin for another 2 weeks. The match with Cedric is still expected to take place when Enzo returns, which would probably be this Monday night if he has been cleared already. I don't wish sickness on anybody, and I was really wanting to see that Cruiserweight Championship match and see if WWE would make the smart move to actually take the title off Enzo. The Mixed Match Challenge thing, which I honestly don't care about, I don't know why they would pull him 2 weeks away from that start. Apparently, he was going to get paired with Nia Jax, who got paired with his replacement, a.k.a. Titus Team Catering's own Apollo Crews. So hopefully he is better, and he says he has been cleared, so good for Enzo. Hopefully we'll see him lose that title to Cedric Alexander on Monday or at the Royal Rumble, whichever. But that is your news on Enzo. Rusev wants back on Monday Night Raw. It sounds like SmackDown Superstar is looking to get back on Raw. He tweeted the following during last night's show on the Christmas edition of Monday Night Raw, or the New Year's edition, or one of the two. Rusev tweeted, "If Cena can do both shows, why can't Rusev Day? Question mark, question mark, question mark, hashtag Raw." Because unless you're going to be on one show or the other, it's already bad enough that we have a free agent John Cena. We do not need a free agent Rusev. Yes, it would be big for both shows with him being there since he is so over, but it does kind of diminish the failure of a brand split, which WWE did not want, but USA Network wanted when they went live with SmackDown, which it has to stay live. But Rusev on SmackDown, I would like to see him. I'm making an early bold prediction. If Shinsuke Nakamura is not winning the Royal Rumble and John Cena is not winning the Royal Rumble, which I hope he's not, I would like to see Rusev win the Royal Rumble. I would actually like to see Rusev or Nakamura, one of those two, face AJ Styles at WrestleMania. AJ versus Rusev or AJ versus Nakamura, with the winner of the Royal Rumble going to WrestleMania and beating Styles for the title in a heck of a match. And I'm pretty sure if Rusev won the Royal Rumble and how over he is, Philadelphia would lose their minds. Quite honestly, I think because the fact that Rusev is over right now and Shinsuke Nakamura's shine has been taken off, Rusev Day would actually be just so over, it wouldn't even be funny. And him going to WrestleMania into New Orleans as the number one contender for the WWE Championship, which he should have been all of last year. They went with the wrong foreign guy. Rusev should have been the guy who took the title and had a 6-month reign. I think if it's not going to be Nakamura, give us Rusev. Rusev versus AJ Styles at Mania if we're not going to get Nakamura at Mania. Moving on, Beth Phoenix has been announced for the Mixed Match Challenge commentary. For any of you wondering who's going to be on the call for the Mixed Match Challenge. As revealed by newly announced Mixed Match Challenge hosts Renee Young and Byron Saxton. Let me stop you right there. As soon as they put "and Byron Saxton," I'm like, you done lost me. You done lost me. Any chance of watching the Mixed Match Challenge kind of just went out the window. I cannot stand Byron Saxton on commentary. He is just as awful as Percy Watson and Booker T and David Otunga. Can we get back to 2-man commentary booths, please? But WWE Hall of Famer Beth Phoenix will join Michael Cole and Corey Graves on the announced team for the Facebook Watch exclusive shows starting Tuesday, January 16th at 10 Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific time. Few female competitors have dominated the division quite as convincingly as Phoenix. The former women's champion ripped through anyone in her path and never failed to draw gaps from the WWE Universe, except for when she was being a comedic act with Santina Marella when he was Santina Marella. Remember that stuff? That was just awful. Whether she was lifting Melina and Mickie James over her shoulder at the same time, eliminating the Great Khali from the 2000. That's the wrong number. It was 2000. It says 2002 Rumble, but that's the wrong one. Whoever wrote this, they kind of got it wrong. I think it was 2011 Rumble or 2010, one of those ones. When a match or the Glam slamming Eve from the top rope at the 2011 Survivor Series, the Glamazon will certainly provide a unique perspective on the groundbreaking Facebook Watch show beginning January 16th, 2018 at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, the night right after SmackDown Live. So that is our good thing for women's for the mixed match challenge. You get your male perspective and a female's perspective. Can we not have Michael Cole? The thing with Michael Cole being on that commentary team, will we get Monday Night Raw Michael Cole, or will we get UK title tournament Michael Cole? And what I mean is, Michael Cole on that UK title tournament commentary with Nigel McGuinness actually felt legitimate. He felt real. He didn't feel like Vince McMahon's microphone regurgitating whatever Vince McMahon wanted him to say over and over and over again. He felt like a fan watching the product and calling the match. He felt like he should like a prime JR or prime Bobby Heenan or somebody or prime Gorilla Monsoon calling the match and actually sounding like he cared. He didn't sound like a advertising robot for Vince McMahon. So that's going to be interesting. But to those who want to watch the Mixed Match Challenge, I'm sure Beth Phoenix will be. I don't know if she's ever called a match before for wrestling. I don't know if she's a play-by-play or what she's going to do, like how she's going to bring. But she's going to bring a female's perspective, which is a good thing for what they're calling a groundbreaking series, which it's really not. WWE and the groundbreaking. We got a Women's Royal Rumble. We got a groundbreaking. The reason it's groundbreaking, in my opinion, is because it's on Facebook, and Facebook's trying to find TV shows to put on their Facebook Watch. Which, when Facebook first started, I don't think anyone expected to see shows like this or any show at all being on Facebook. So anybody who wants to see the Mixed Match Challenge, I will not be watching it. I have no desire to see it. I've already seen enough WWE in 1 week with Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, and pay-per-views every so often. But for those who want to see it, hey, Amazon on commentary, which is not a bad thing in my opinion. Then we have this next story, which was one that I can't believe that this guy would even think about saying this, but he does have some points that could make sense, but is really early on. John Cena Sr., John Cena's father, says Woken Matt Hardy won't work in WWE. John Cena Sr. spoke with Boston Wrestling Sports, where he gave his thoughts on Woken Matt Hardy over the past few weeks. The Woken gimmick has become unleashed in the WWE Universe with his first feud against Bray Wyatt. Cena doesn't think the character will work in WWE and felt bad for Wyatt getting looped in with it. About the gimmick itself, he thought it should have been left in the past. Been there, done that, let's move on, Cena said. I might start a little bit of a fire in WWE. I give it 30 days, 45 days before it gets watered on and the Woken becomes broken. The fact that the Woken gimmick is a spin on the Broken gimmick, that's kind of just ironic for him to say that. So Cena continues that after fans demanded more from the gimmick, Vince McMahon finally gave in, but it's going to be too much to have long-term appeal in WWE. He also thinks that the feud with Bray Wyatt isn't good timing. I think WWE is building that feud up. I feel so bad because it's just not the right time. Senior Gene says it's not the thing to do. The gimmick, here's the thing. Everybody wanted more frosting on the cake. Finally, Vince McMahon, WWE, the writers go, okay, we're going to give you more frosting on the cake. And what's the first thing that happens when you first bite that cake? Too much sweetness, too much frosting on that cake. I don't like it. And that's exactly what's going to happen. I'm making the prediction here and now that Woken is going to be broken. Have Has Cena Senior even seen this gimmick work before? It's really early on. We are what, a month in almost, so it's actually working. This guy, after months of back and forth between Hardy and Anthem Sports of Entertainment over the ownership of the broken intellectual property, Hardy and WWE were finally able to move forward with putting an obvious Woken spin on the name. Cena felt like all of this news has potentially hurt the gimmick with fans. I don't think it's going to help anybody. I really don't. Cena replied, I think Matt was kind of made a mistake because what worked before might not necessarily work again, and the fans were so agitated by Impact Wrestling and what's been done. It's kind of like they heard so much about it. Now it's kind of a sour. It's more frosting on the cake, but it's too sweet. So, John Cena's father thinks Broken Matt Hardy or Woken Matt Hardy won't work in WWE. Is he out of his mind? Has he not been watching the product? It's hit or miss with the crowd because depending on where they're at, like when they debuted it, it was in Los Angeles, a pretty rabid crowd, and the whole entire crowd was just hot for it. And then the next week, I believe they were in Cleveland, Ohio, and the crowd was dead. And then the next week, it was back to being a rabid crowd. Then last week, and it just depends on the crowd, but overall, it's working. It's working, and Bray Wyatt is going to benefit from this. I don't know why Cena Senior thinks when is Senior other than Cena Senior working with his son and Randy Orton, or I believe Edge, when has he done anything for WWE? And when has he ever actually written a segment for WWE? Does he even know how? I know he books his own little federation off yonder somewhere in Boston, I'm pretty sure. But those are two different things. He doesn't get the fan base, does he? These guys, the delete chant since Matt Hardy has been back, has been used almost every single time we go to an arena. They go to an arena. You see people, you hear the delete chants over and over and over again. This is going to work, and if Matt Hardy has even half of the creative control he had in Impact Wrestling, then it will work. It has. And now we need to see. I'm sure their first match will be at the Royal Rumble. We'll see then. But if WWE actually gives Matt control of how this gimmick will work, if we see his actual love and care of this will go great. The only way this becomes watered down is if Vince McMahon himself decides, well, Matt, we let you have your fun. Now I'm going to tell you what you have to do. Vince McMahon has to let Matt Hardy run this gimmick. You cannot. This is a gimmick that Vince McMahon has to put his entire 100% trust into Matt Hardy and let Matt Hardy run this gimmick himself. You cannot have Matt Hardy just being told what he has to do. The writers are going to have to be taken off of this completely. Let Matt Hardy do this. Have him and Bray Wyatt sit down and let them go over this entire feud. So we will see what happens, but Cena Senior is just out of his mind. Has he not watched the product? He must I have a feeling he watched the episode of Monday Night Raw when they were still going back and forth on screen, and it was Cleveland, I believe, the second week, and it was pretty much a rehash of the first week, and the crowd was just dead. That's probably the episode he saw, but the week before and the week after that, it was a pretty good crowd, and the Woken gimmick was just over like it could, like anything else that you see, and better than most things on WWE. By the time WrestleMania comes around, will it be what we want it to be? I don't know. We will see. Vince McMahon could just say the gimmick's not getting, in his mind, the gimmick's not getting over when the gimmick could be getting over completely like it has been. And Vince McMahon just has him getting eliminated from the first person eliminated from the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at WrestleMania. We will see. If Jeff Hardy is back by then, it will make it a lot better. If you have Brother Nero and Woken Matt Hardy. If you don't have Jeff Hardy back by then we'll see how it goes. Because quite honestly, Matt Hardy himself, as Woken Matt Hardy, has not really done much of the gimmick by himself, other than the first month or two of it when it was becoming naturally done in Impact Wrestling, because he was still feuding with his brother, and Jeff Hardy eventually went and became Brother Nero. He aligned with Matt Hardy with like what, the first 2 months of the entire gimmick, or it was like the first few months of the gimmick, and after that it was just Matt and Jeff the entire time. So it will be interesting to see how long this goes with Matt Hardy by himself, or until Jeff Hardy comes back and he's woken and he's Brother Nero. But we will see what happens when it happens, and hopefully we will have Matt Hardy having much success with this. I expect him to do well. Enough of the laugh, though. This just seems like Vince McMahon has fallen in love with Matt Hardy's laugh, because every gimmick, I mean every segment that Matt Hardy's been in, it's been a laugh. He's just laughed at the end, like and done that over and over and over. I mean, his first appearance in the ring as Woken Matt Hardy on WWE TV on the Christmas edition of Monday Night Raw, he would just attack Bray Wyatt, sent Bray Wyatt packing, and then just started to laugh. So I just think that the laugh is going to possibly ruin the whole gimmick. We will see. All I know is that Cena Senior, trying to say that 5 times fast, just sounds like a guy who is clueless. But let's move on here. WWE made a poll asking fans who was the top Raw star of 2017. As of the writing, 26% of the votes were to Braun Strowman, while 17% of the votes were to Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns, respectively. 8% for Finn Balor, 7% for Women's Champion Alexa Bliss, 6% for Universal Champion Brock Lesnar, 6% for Miz, 6% for Seth Rollins, 2% for Bayley, 2% for Samoa Joe, 2% for Enzo, and 1% for Bray Wyatt. So Braun Strowman is the when they wrote this, was the 26% vote getter for Best Superstar, Raw Superstar of 2017. Can someone explain to me why he wasn't Universal Champion at all last year? Why his match with Brock Lesnar went 5 minutes and Brock Lesnar won that match, when that was like he was the most over babyface on Monday Night Raw, and you did not give him the title just to sacrifice everything just so you can get Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. And by the way, we are going to see Roman Reigns be the first guy in over a year to kick out of the F5 when we get to WrestleMania. And that's going to be another thing. When we get to WrestleMania, the spear versus the F5. The F5 hasn't been kicked out of. The spear hasn't been kicked out of. The spear is going to not kick. If Brock Lesnar, if Roman Reigns kicks out of the first F5, and then Brock Lesnar goes for a second F5, and Roman Reigns spears him and pins him with one spear, that New Orleans is going to just rain down boos on Roman Reigns. It's going to be bad. So why is Braun Strowman being this is where Vince McMahon is a hypocrite. This is where Stephanie McMahon is a hypocrite. You have a poll on your website asking fans best superstar of last year, and your top guy that you have this tunnel vision for is third. It's tied for second. Why is Braun Strowman the overwhelming favorite by almost 10% of the votes? Why is it that Braun Strowman, the fans are telling you they want Braun Strowman to be the guy, and you're going for Roman Reigns? Why was Braun Strowman not WWE Universal Champion last year? You could have had him winning at No Mercy, hold it till the Royal Rumble. You could still have this stupid triple threat match that you're going to have at the Royal Rumble with Brock Lesnar, Kane, and Braun Strowman. Have Kane eat the pin off of Brock Lesnar. Strowman doesn't look weak. Brock Lesnar doesn't look weak. And you get the title back on Lesnar for the match at WrestleMania. But, the fans don't know. The fans are their lifeblood. That's the thing. They tell these conference calls, they had Stephanie go out and say, we listen to the fans. The fans are our lifeblood. The fans are the fans tell us who should be on top. Yet, Braun Strowman in this poll for 2017's Raw Superstar, Best Superstar 2017, is leading the poll. Yet he never won a championship last year. He didn't go out to be the Universal Champion. He didn't go and win the Universal title like he should have. He didn't go and become an Intercontinental Champion or anything else. You had him just go out, be fed to Brock Lesnar, and then tease a match with Triple H, which I don't want to see. Yet Roman Reigns is over. Yes, he's at 17%, but Braun Strowman is the top guy, and you're just going to sit there and just tell us no. So that's Vince McMahon and them being hypocrites, telling us they listen to us, they listen to the fans, and yet Braun Strowman, in your own poll, is the #1 guy on that poll, and you're just going to sit there and tell and give me a reason why he didn't win the Universal Champion, because that still baffles me to this day. Current odds for the Women's Royal Rumble. Shortly after the first ever Women's Royal Rumble has been announced by the WWE, the gambling odds were set by the odds makers. Our friends at BetWrestling.com set us the following. Earlier odds had the most favorite to win being former UFC Women's Bantamweight Champion Ronda Rousey. While not yet being announced as a participant, she's not going to be there. She's shooting a movie, so it's going to be kind of hard for her to get there. While not yet being announced, Rousey was the outright favorite. A shift has occurred, and the undefeated Asuka has risen to the top of the odds in the most favorite at point plus 162. Ronda has dropped to point plus 175, leaving her second most likely to win. Another frontrunner is Paige with the odds of 600. The total odds are Asuka, Ronda Rousey, Paige, Becky Lynch, Nia Jax, Charlotte, Bayley, and Naomi. The rest, Stephanie McMahon comes in as well, which I don't think Stephanie's going to be in that match. AJ Lee also thrown on here, Beth Phoenix, Brie Bella, Lita, Natalya, Nikki Bella, Trish Stratus, Billie Kay, Ember Moon, Kairi Sane, Maria Menounos is on here for some reason. Yeah, because I want to see Maria Menounos, who's a non-wrestler who has a nice winning streak, undefeated streak in WWE here. Michelle McCool, Mickie James, Peyton Royce, Ruby Riott, Tamina, and Alicia Fox, and Tori Wilson, as well as Stacy Keibler and Ruby Riott, finish out the list. Honestly, and there's rumors I heard earlier today that Asuka might not even be in the Rumble. There's actually a list. If she's going to be in the Rumble, Asuka has to win it. Would I put Asuka in the Rumble? No, I would actually have her have a match with Alexa Bliss at the Royal Rumble for the Women's Championship, take the title off of Alexa Bliss, give it to Asuka, and have someone else win the Rumble, because that opens up the possibility of somebody else. It gives the unpredictability of who's going to win the Royal Rumble for the women. Right now, if Asuka's in the match, then if it's not Asuka, you're making a mistake. If Asuka's in the match, she has to win it, or you're just going to kill her mystique completely. If she wins the Women's Championship at the Royal Rumble or before the Royal Rumble, we have 3 weeks still to go for the Royal Rumble. Yeah, we have 3 weeks to go. 3 weeks from Monday, we have until the Royal Rumble. So, yes, I can see them taking the title off of Alexa Bliss, which would be good. I mean, she did get beat this past Monday by Asuka, so like maybe at the Royal Rumble or right before the Royal Rumble, we get Asuka taking the title off of Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss is added to the Rumble match. You take Asuka out, so you have a better, more open who's going to win the match, instead of it being Asuka has to win it or you're going to ruin her character. There might be a new single Miss Money in the Bank. Rumors are floating around that Cass and Carmella have split up. Carmella has removed all mentions of Big Cass from her social media accounts. You can check her Instagram and Twitter accounts below. Twitter.com/Carmella WWE. Instagram.com Carmella/Carmella WWE. Carmella and Cass have publicly acknowledged their relationships and are even featured on current season of Total Divas. Due to Carmella pulling all Cass references, rumors have begun to swirl widely online that the couple have split up. Neither superstar has commented publicly on the rumors at this time. One of the reasons for this possibility split could be due to tensions that were shown on the recent episode of Total Divas, where Carmella mentioned her desire to move back to Los Angeles, in a move that Cass was not a fan of. Outside of that, there has been little in the way of public tension between the two. If either superstar comments, I will let you know. I have not seen any news on this. Quite honestly, it might just be her doing that as a way, because everyone knows Total Divas is scripted. Any reality show is scripted. And there's tension on the show, so maybe they had her just take the references to Big Cass to play up those tensions on Total Divas, and when the season is over, they make up and everything else, and then everything will go back. So take it with a grain of salt. Maybe they broke up, maybe Carmella's single. keep your hopes up, guys. I don't think most of you guys, like none of us have, most guys don't have a chance anyway. But just letting you know that there's a possibility that Carmella might be single. Speaking of relationships, wife of NXT star may have signed to WWE or will sign to WWE. Candice LeRae, Little Miss Candice LeRae, part of the Mae Young Classics, is expected to sign with WWE's NXT brand soon, according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter. LeRae is currently going through the standard signing process, but there's no word yet on when she might be signed. I'm pretty sure she's either signed or going to be signed. There's word going around that she was in a dark match at the most recent NXT tapings, so all signs point to LeRae being signed by NXT. And as you all know, LeRae participated in the Mae Young Classic last year and made it to the quarterfinals, losing to runner-up Shayna Baszler. She picked up tournament wins over Renee Michelle and Nicole Savoy. LeRae also worked 2 Battle Royals at NXT TV last year, May 3rd and October 26th. So, Candice LeRae coming to WWE. She was, as I've seen somewhere, or I've seen people talk about, she was at the Atlanta tapings. The next 3 episodes of NXT will be, the next 3 episodes of NXT will be in Atlanta. They will not be at Full Sail, so the crowd is going to be different, which in my opinion is actually going to be beneficial for NXT and will also prove my point that I said from the San Antonio edition of NXT, that they need to take NXT on the road and get out of Full Sail. It actually makes the product feel a lot more live. Is it good for the women's division in NXT? Yes, it is, and LeRae will be a big beneficial to NXT unless they pull a Mandy Rose and Sarah Logan, where she takes a few looks in NXT and then is moved up to the main roster. I don't see that happening. With the women's Royal Rumble going on this January, she would be a nice addition to because there's going to be 30 participants in the women's Royal Rumble. There's going to be definite call-ups to the main roster, so she would be a nice addition to the women's roster in NXT, which will be depleted if all those women who come up stay up there and are not just there for a one-time shot. So if she comes to if she's there for NXT now, congratulations to Miss Candice LeRae, and I look forward to seeing you have matches with Ember Moon, Nikki Cross, Shayna Baszler, and Kairi Sane, and so on and so forth. John Cena teases a feud with Woken Matt Hardy. Cena posted a photo to Instagram of Matt Hardy from his broken days in Impact Wrestling, and Woken Matt Hardy responded via Twitter. Cena often posts his random photos with no caption to his Instagram and has used it to tease potential feuds in the past. You can see the exchange below. My computer's having a little messed up, so I couldn't really see the picture, but I did have the tweet. Brother Felix, hashtag Brother Felix, how wonderful woken of your southern-hearted soul. So, John Cena versus Woken Matt Hardy. Nope, don't want to see it. I do not want to see it. You want to kill this? You want this? If you want John Cena Sr.'s prediction of this not working, book Woken Matt Hardy versus John Cena. John Cena will have a match with him. They'll have I'm sure the promos would be decent, because it would be great to see Woken Matt Hardy in his elegance versus John Cena, who is one of the best mics in the game. I'm not going to deny that whatsoever. But in the end, we know how it goes. John Cena should start pulling on being more of a Chris Jericho, because he's limited schedule. He should go in and actually lose matches. John Cena doesn't have to win another match in his career. He can actually start putting people over. Until I start seeing that, I don't want to see a Woken Matt Hardy versus John Cena feud. Would it do great for Woken Matt Hardy if he was to win the feud? Yes, it would, but we know how John Cena goes. He goes in, he beats his opponent, and then he walks out and goes back to Hollywood. Daniel Bryan on getting cleared by WWE. Daniel Bryan recently spoke with Sports Illustrated and commented on his WWE future and possibly returning to ring at WrestleMania 34. This is what Daniel Bryan had to say. I assume that if I don't wrestle by WrestleMania, I probably won't be wrestling in WWE at all, said Bryan. That's my assumption. Bryan acknowledges that getting cleared to return to WWE is complicated. It is not a black and white answer, said Bryan. There are a lot of issues with me getting cleared by WWE. They have a very strict protocol and a $1 million lawsuit going down. they have a very strict protocol, which is a good thing, but the timeline of all that happening was not the best for me. It's an interesting situation that will develop. In my opinion, I don't see him getting cleared at all, especially with that concussion lawsuit going on. They don't want to jeopardize. It's like, hey, this guy's had multiple concussions. We made him retire because of it. But we're going to let him wrestle because we need the money. And then that would be more fuel for the lawsuit to be like, hey, look, they don't care about those superstars. They were just keeping him down for now. We're going to act and all that. So I don't see that happening. It would be nice, but I don't see it happening. So that is what's going to happen with Daniel Bryan. If we don't see him cleared by WrestleMania weekend or before WrestleMania, so I'd say about Fastlane. By the time we get to Fastlane or the week after Fastlane and he's not cleared, then Daniel Bryan's not going to be wrestling in WWE again, and he will be off to Ring of Honor or New Japan, and maybe even Defiant Wrestling or Impact Wrestling or somewhere else. Speaking of New Japan, as I noted early on, they did have Wrestle Kingdom 12 on Thursday, and where we had Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega, and what some people are calling a match of the year candidate. I would hold the brakes on that. It was a great match, maybe it is going to be a top 10 match of the year, but I would say that the Fatal 4-Way for the Junior Heavyweight title was a much better match, in my opinion. But Chris Jericho, and we all thought Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega was a one and done for Chris Jericho. That seems to not be the case, as they had the New Year Dash event today, or yesterday, on the 5th, and Tetsuya Naito was wrestling, I believe, a 6-man tag match. I didn't see the show, but Chris Jericho, after the match, Tetsuya Naito had his shirt on, his hat, posing. Chris Jericho comes from behind and attacks Tetsuya Naito, who, as I saw the video, Chris Jericho, I guess Tetsuya Naito had some disparaging comments on Chris Jericho, and Chris Jericho took him out on Tetsuya Naito, and those guys had a Pier 6 brawl with Hiromu Takahashi, and I believe it was Bushi or someone else with Tetsuya Naito trying to calm these guys down. You had the Young Lions in there, keeping them away. Jericho just playing the best heel. He is a beautifully good heel. He is a real heel, as Brian Alvarez called him on Dave Meltzer in his review of Wrestle Kingdom 12. Jericho looks to not be done with Japan, and anybody's thoughts of him showing up in the Royal Rumble can think of other things now, as he looks to prepare to take on Tetsuya Naito. I don't know when, I don't know where, but they said something about a New Japan event in Long Beach, California, I believe they said, which Jericho has no dates for Fozzy, so we will see. But Tetsuya Naito versus Chris Jericho looks to be the next match for Jericho in Japan, and quite honestly, for New Japan Pro Wrestling, it's a money match for them. It gets the intrigue for Japan to keep going. Dave Meltzer reported that they had about 95% to 97% of capacity sold out in the Tokyo Dome, the most they've sold out in 15 years. So Japan sees Chris Jericho coming over again. Will it be in the next month or so? No. They'll build to it like they did with Kenny Omega. So you're going to see Chris Jericho and Tetsuya Naito eventually. Another point to talk about from that New Year Dash is that the Bullet Club looks to be falling apart at the seams. Again, I didn't see the show, but I did see that Kota Ibushi was close to getting pretty much his face clean, knocked off by Cody Rhodes, and he was being held by the Young Bucks. Cody had a chair, and lo and behold, the guy to save his former tag team partner, and they mentioned this because I did see this video too, Kenny Omega came to Kota Ibushi's rescue, and him and Cody Rhodes were arguing. So it looks like the mainline Bullet Club and the Elite are having a little rift, and maybe something down the line, maybe Cody Rhodes versus Kenny Omega for the U.S. Championship and the leadership of the Bullet Club, with, I think, Kenny Omega maybe losing and getting kicked out of the Bullet Club if he was to ever come to WWE. Either way, one of the two will probably end up being out of the Bullet Club by the time WrestleMania season comes around, or a little bit after that. before you would get to Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes, you have Switchblade, Jay White, I think is his name, was offered a spot in the Bullet Club by Kenny Omega. And I saw, those are the 3 videos I saw, was the attack on Tetsuya Naito, Kenny Omega saving Kota Ibushi, and him trying to recruit Switchblade, which, nice name, I'm just going to say it. But he calls out Switchblade, hands him a Bullet Club shirt. Switchblade hits him, puts the Bullet Club shirt on. They hug. Meaning Switchblade went for the too sweet, but Kenny's like, we don't do that anymore. They embraced in a hug. They pan out. Switchblade does a throat slash and hits him with, they called it the Blade Runner. It's, to American audiences, it looks like the Sister Abigail that Bray Wyatt uses, only a little bit more devastating because it looks like he actually drills Kenny Omega on the mat on his head. And he just runs out of the ring before the Young Bucks gets in there, takes the shirt off, and throws it there. So it looks like you're going to have Switchblade, Jay White, I think it's his name, Jay White, versus Kenny Omega for the United States Championship, and Chris Jericho versus Tetsuya Naito are 2 intriguing storylines, as well as the Bullet Club looking to fracture at the seams. Do I see the Bullet Club ending anytime soon? Not on your life. That is, by far, one of New Japan Pro Wrestling's bread and butter. It is one of the biggest money-making selling, like one of the biggest money makers they have right now. Do you really think, like, unlike the WWE, New Japan knows when to keep pumping out money when something's making money, like the Bullet Club? I mean, they got shirts in Hot Topic. They got shirts online. They got, when you go to any Ring of Honor event. I was working at a gas station a couple years ago. Actually, I think it was 2 years ago. And two people who went to this is when, I think it was last year actually. Adam Cole was still part of the Bullet Club. And a couple comes in, dressed in Bullet Club hats, Bullet Club shirts. I think they even had one of them had a Bullet Club scarf, and a Bullet Club jacket. And I'm like, they're not going to kill this gimmick or this group for a long time. The Bullet Club, started 5 years ago now? 5 years ago almost? With Fergal Devitt, Bad Luck Fale, Carl Anderson, and Tonga Tonga. I don't even think back then Fergal Devitt, known as Finn Balor, would think that the Bullet Club would still be around. But Japan's making money off of it. It's one of the biggest sellers in all of the world. You can go to a WWE event and you'll see Bullet Club over and over compared to WWE shirts. You'll see Villain Club, you'll see the American Nightmare Cody, you'll see a Kenny Omega shirt, you'll see the actual Bullet Club logo, you'll see any of these things, and it's like, you see that more than you do WWE. Japan knows when to make money, when something makes money, and when to keep going with it. I mean, look at the Happy Rusev Day shirts on WWE TV. Highest selling shirt in December. It was premiered 2 weeks before Clash of Champions. Or, actually, it was the week before Clash of Champions. It was on the Go Home show before Clash of Champions, I'm pretty sure. Or the week before that. Either way. And it's the highest selling shirt on WWE Shop. Actually, it's the highest selling product on WWE Shop. Now, if this was in Japan and it was making that type of money for them, they would go with Rusev or the person behind that shirt for that shirt, and they would give them a top spot. Will Rusev get that top spot? I hope so. If you keep this Rusev Day thing going and give him the spot at WrestleMania, Rusev Day versus AJ Styles for the WWE Championship, with Rusev locking in that accolade and not having AJ Styles tap, but having AJ Styles pass out, and Rusev wins the WWE Championship in the main event of WrestleMania. Have Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar earlier in the show. We don't need to see that main event to show. But that would be just beautiful poetry, and it would be awesome to see Rusev, who looks like he's having the most fun I've ever seen somebody have for a wrestling show, for anything. But that is going to be all for this episode. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below on everything that I covered today. I will be back on Monday for the Raw review. For now, make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on that bell for notifications. Find me on Twitter at TheFronts. Find me at twitch.tv/TheFronts08, where I stream every single day. And I will see you guys later. Make sure to hit that give me comments down below. Hit that like button. If you want to dislike it too, that's fine by me. Either way, I will see you guys later. And my name is The Franz, and you guys have yourself a wonderful day, afternoon, evening, or night, whenever you listen to this. And I will see you later.